Holland. What's good and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I will be giving my review of this month's comebacks and releases in the month of October. Disclaimer, everything I say in this video is completely based on my personal musical and choreographical taste and my general opinion. Also, if I didn't include a certain group or soloist in this video, it either means that I'm not a fan of that group or artist or I didn't really have many thoughts on that specific comeback. I will also leave timestamps for all the comebacks featured in this video, so that if you are only interested in what I have to say for certain comebacks, you can skip to certain parts of the video. Before we get into it, I recently uploaded a video ranking visuals in K-pop based on their astrology charts, a part 2 to my Yeri Red Velvet astrology reading, and a part 2 to my Wendy Red Velvet astrology reading. So if you are interested, I will leave those videos linked in the card so that you can check out those videos after watching this one. Now let's get into the video. First is Blackpink's comeback with Lovesick Girls. I think what I'm about to say may be an unpopular opinion because from what I've seen, most people are saying Lovesick Girls are the best out of their past 3 releases. However, I have to disagree because I personally felt like the chorus for Lovesick Girls was very basic in terms of the melody and just sounds like a recycled version of songs that I've heard on the radio by a lot of female Western artists here in America. I think Jisoo and Rose's vocals stood out in this song a lot and had the best verses by far. For once, Lisa was not cursed with another bad rap verse by Teddy because I feel like her rap verses in their recent releases have been either underwhelming or god-awful. But I'm sad that this good verse of hers had to come with the price of giving Jennie a bad verse. Like Jennie's verse itself wasn't bad, it's just her tone and intonation were very unappealing to me. Overall, this song wasn't it for me. So I'll stick to twerking to Ice Cream and How You Like That in my room with the door locked. On a lighter note, I really like this music video, especially each of the members' solo scenes. Jisoo looked really good in that scene with her among those blue flowers, and I like Lisa's short e-girl hair, especially in shots where it was styled half up half down. As per usual, their choreographer showed just how much they hate them, by giving the girls the worst choreography of their career. When I was watching the live stages were pretty savage, all I could feel was a combination of frustration, anger, and then acceptance. It's just like we all know how talented these girls are at dancing, especially with their pre-debut choreographies, but it's hard for them to showcase their abilities as dancers when they aren't given choreography that will allow them to do so. However, on the bright side, the choreography for Lovesick Girls did grow on me quite a bit throughout the weeks. Moving on to the album, I don't think this album was particularly bad, but I didn't really like most of the B-sides as they did not align with my personal taste, and I'd never go out of my way to listen to them. The only song that I listen to on a regular basis is Pretty Savage. Next is WE's debut with Twilight. This is one of my favorite songs of the month, and I've been listening to it every day since it came out. I really like the variety of melodies that they used in the chorus because most songs will usually have about 2 or 3 different melody switches while this one had about 5 or 6, which is very enjoyable to listen to for me. The only part of the song that I didn't like was Hyun's rap verse as I thought it was kind of offbeat and didn't flow well with the instrumental. But I don't necessarily think he's a bad rapper, I just think that the verse itself was bad. This is off topic but he kind of reminds me of Byung-kwon from Ace. The music video was kind of basic, but on the other hand, I shouldn't have expected too much considering they're from a small company. However, the way they edited it and the camera work did make up for it. My favorite B-side is Fuse. Next is Meki's comeback with Cool. This was also another favorite comeback of mine. In the past, I never really was interested in Meki because I didn't like their more cutesy teen crush title tracks like Dazzle Dazzle and Picky Picky. But when I saw their teaser for Cool, I was living, but I was still reluctant and hesitant because we all know how a lot of teasers for K-pop music videos love to catfish. I found myself addicted to this song on first listen. It's very climactic and energetic but also very sophisticated and cool, pun intended. And even though I'm usually not a fan of teen crush concepts, this one had a lot of elegant elements to it, so I found it quite enjoyable. I was very fond of Loona's hair since when most girl group members cut their hair short, they usually just put it in a bob, but sis really went all the way there. Other members that stood out to me were Doyeon, Yoojung, and Rina. I liked how even though the music video wasn't the highest budget, they used subtle changes in the lighting as well as basic props and backgrounds to make the video more interesting. The only part that I didn't like about this comeback was the B-sides, as they felt quite underwhelming to me and reminded me of their usual sound. Next is onlyoneof's 9's solo release with Daisy. I was curious about this release because 9, besides Rie and Junji, 9 is one of my favorite vocalists in the group. However, the reason why I was not very interested in this song was that it is so much different than onlyoneof's releases. The music video was very quite cute though, and props to RDR for the animation.
Get out my way, yo, get out my way. 아무도 나를 막지 못해. 우린 억지로 똑같은 트랙이와 넣다가 부숴버리지는 유대. 어제와 지금의 또 다가올 내일을
Next is NCT 2020's release with NCT U's Make-A-Wish and their subtitle tracks Misfit, Dejavu, and From Home. Misfit and Dejavu were very boring and forgettable tracks to me, mainly because I'm not really a fan of most hip-hop music and I found some lines in the choruses to be repetitive. Dejavu wasn't bad, but I don't really like the instrumental for the chorus as it was kind of bland. However, the verses were quite good. Make-A-Wish was an okay song, but the only reason I listened to the song are Ford and Xiaojun's pre-choruses and that R&B bridge. But overall, like I've said numerous times in the past, the main reason why, excluding weki, I don't like most of NCT's music is that their chorus usually consists of them chanting or singing in a speaky tone, which is not really my cup of tea, and I much rather prefer a chorus with actual vocals or rapping. Moving on, From Home is one of my favorite NCT songs ever. This is because I personally grew up listening to a lot of R&B music from the 80s and 90s, so songs that resemble that sound provide me with much nostalgia. It's very funny because, in the Western music industry, R&B music has faded into the background and become a rarity. And when Western artists do come out with R&B music, it sounds very modern, which isn't a bad thing, but I wish more artists were open to experimenting back to that older sound. However, even though SM Entertainment severely gets on my last nerve, one thing I love about their group's music is their ability to resemble the nostalgic sound to a T, especially with Red Velvet with songs like Automatic, Diamond, Eyes Locked Hands Locked, and Uncover. Additionally, I liked how this song greatly showcased all of their vocal abilities since because NCT is a more rap and dance focused group, a lot of people forget the fact that their vocalists are very good. My only complaint that Xiaojun wasn't on this song because he naturally has a very rich and soulful vocal color that I think would have complemented this song very well. Unfortunately, if I am being honest, I did not like any of the other B-sides on the album. I listened to them multiple times but each time I was still left underwhelmed. This was disappointing because usually when it comes to SM groups, if I do not like the title or subtitle tracks, the B-sides usually always make up for it. Next is Chen's comeback with Hello. I was glad to see Chen back so soon after his marriage announcement because I was expecting SM to put him on a hiatus for several months. My only complaint is that this song is another ballad. I understand that this is most likely Chen's choice to release the music that he does, however, I admit his music has become rather repetitive to listen to. So I hope that he or his producers consider doing something a little different. Next is Black Swan's debut with Tonight. To start off, I don't have a problem when it comes non-Asians being in K-pop. As long as they are able to meet the standard and are actually skilled or talented at their craft, all is good. But in this case specifically, I feel like they only included Fatu because of the fact that she is black rather than her talent. The reason I feel this way was because, a few years ago, when Ronea was struggling to maintain their relevance and popularity in the K-pop world, instead of their company thinking of more creative ways of innovating their sound, concept, or even by simply putting more effort into promoting them in Korea, they decided to take the easy way out by simply adding a black girl into the group to quote-unquote shake the table and to stir controversy within Korea, being known to be a very conservative and anti-black country. They didn't pick Alex because she was talented or because of her abilities as a dancer or rapper. It was simply meant to exploit her identity so that the company could make a profit. And now that Alex left the group, they decided to replace her with a different black girl so they can do the same shit. And the gag is Alex is racially ambiguous with lighter skin and looser textured hair, and she still faced hardships such as having to do her own makeup and hair because none of the stylists knew how to make up on darker skin or style type 3 hair, the group's choreographer choosing not to integrate her into the group's choreography, and K-Net's getting mad at her for wearing a piece of traditional Korean clothing during a photo shoot for the group's comeback. Meanwhile, no one hated on the Chinese girl in the group for doing the same thing. So just imagine what will happen to Fatu, a darker-skinned girl with traditionally West African features. That is my problem with this situation. But moving on, here is the actual review of their debut lol. This song is very catchy, and even though I've only listened to this song twice, the melody of the chorus and even some verses has solidified itself into my memory. I really like uh-mah-ree, who looks strikingly similar to Eve from Loona, and Younghoon's voices in the chorus. However, Fatu's rap verse after the second chorus wasn't very good at all, and whoever wrote the song could have done much better with her lyrics. Plus, it was very refreshing to see a girl group with a sexy concept, since most girl groups these days usually result in doing more girl crush, cute, or teen crush concepts. I also appreciated how they came out with a full album for their debut, even though it contains 4 remixes of Ronea's old music, but a full album nonetheless, as most groups that debut these days will come out begin with a mini album at most. The music video was pretty standard and average, but not in a bad way. My only complaint is the wig that they gave Fatu.
What's going on? Y'all are going to jail!
Next is 17's comeback with Home Run. I wasn't really a fan of this song because, when it comes to jazz music or songs with a jazz influence, I prefer the more common relaxing kind of jazz rather than jazz that is upbeat and energetic. Examples of this are BTS's Stigma and Singularity. Side note, I don't know if it's just me, but 17's music this year hasn't been very appealing to me. Even their B-sides have been a bit dry. And sadly, this was the case for me again with this mini-album. However, even though I don't really like the song, the choreography was very entertaining to watch, especially with the fact that most boy group choreographies these days are influenced by hip-hop, so it's nice to see something different.
Whoa. Let's pump it up!
Next is Loona's comeback with Why Not? When the teasers came out, I thought that it was just going to be a So What 2.0. However, I was wrong. It ended up being even worse than So What. I didn't like the kind of talk rapping that they did and found it to be kind of cringy. Plus, the reason why I didn't like the chorus wasn't that it was just another empty EDM chorus, it's the fact that the instrumental itself was very lackluster and was very plain. If the producer added more layers to it, I think it would have been more interesting, but because they didn't, it ended up sounding empty and hollow to me. On the bright side, at least the line distribution in this song was slightly better than So What. Though this choreo isn't my favorite of theirs, it still fit the song very well and didn't feel out of place in conjunction with the song. The major selling point of this comeback for me was the styling. I liked Heejin's black and silver outfit in the Turfy pathway, Jinsol's blue hair, F's magenta hair, and Chu's scene with the flowers and the car. The only B-side that interested me was Star. Next is Mamamoo's pre-release with Dinga. At first listen, this song felt very lukewarm to me. I didn't think it was good or bad, and I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to it. But I recently gave it a second chance and I now really like it. The music video sets were very aesthetically pleasing and I loved the different hairstyles and outfits the members had on. I especially liked Moonbyul's short hair, and I think it suits her very well. The choreography wasn't as impressive to me as their one with Hip, but I feel like an intense choreography would not suit such a light-hearted song. I'm also very curious to see what they have in store for their official release. Next is TXT's comeback with Blue Hour. I wasn't expecting to like this comeback from them because, for me, their more brighter energetic concepts can be either a hit or a miss. Usually, I don't like songs that have a very upbeat pop sound to them, but there was something about the way the boys executed it that made the song very appealing. This song really showcases all of their vocal abilities to the point where I was shook, like I knew they could sing, but I didn't know that they were already on this level. The music video was very pretty. Usually I'm not a fan of music videos that have an overwhelming amount of CGI in them, but in this case Spygate made it work. The styling was also very cute. I liked that pink Balenciaga crop top, Anton's blonde hair, Yeonjun's pink hair with the blue and yellow highlights. By the way, what was the stylist thinking by putting those ugly extensions in his head lol? The choreography fit the song quite catchy and easy for even less experienced dancers to learn. The mini-album was also very good with my fave track being Way Home. Next is Twice's comeback with I Can't Stop Me. I personally thought this song was really good, however, there was something about it that I felt lacked Twice's traditional sound. Because even when Twice have experimented in their previous comebacks with Fancy, Feel Special, and more, those songs still had Twice's traditional aura. I think it's because Twice normally sings in a very high register for their title tracks, and then in some B-sides they would use their lower register, but in this comeback, JYP decided to experiment with giving them a song with predominantly low register vocals. Yes, there were some moments of them belting or hitting high notes, but that was about it. The choreography was good with my favorite part being Chui's line when they're in that 3x3 formation.
Yes! Oh my god, yes!
But I think that they could have done some things to make it better, such as switching it up for the last chorus. This album was amazing. Normally these days when I listen to an album, I only end up liking about half the tracks maximum, but with Eyes Wide Open, I ended up liking at least 80% of the songs. In terms of styling, I loved Momo's onesie outfit with the choker and her denim outfit, Jun Jian's long hair, the shot of Suna on that hill, Ji Hyo's red hair, and basically all of Na Ayun's looks. Okay, this is the end of the review. Thanks for watching. If you wish to purchase an astrology or tarot card reading from me, click the link in the description below. If you would like to hear me talk shit about K-pop drama or DM me a private question you have about one of my videos, here is my Instagram. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember to stay snatched.